building is a historic landmark called Forrest Marbury House, and when you have time after the performance, you can pick your glass and go upstairs to the room which is adjacent to the great mirror ball, and that's called the George Washington room. And in that room, in 1791, a deal was struck by the president, the first president of the United States, and the landowners of Maryland and Virginia about the establishment of the District of Columbia. So this is the room where the city of Washington was born. Marbury, from the famous, William Marbury, from the famous Marbury versus Madison legal case that established the role of the Supreme Court of the United States in terms of constitutionality of laws. The first settlers on the Ukrainian soil were around 6,000 BC, which is earlier than Babylon and Egypt. It was the Tripilya culture. They were already building two-story buildings made of clay, and they were already farmers growing wheat and vegetables and making pottery forever. But originally it was the Kiev state. It was an enlightened monarchy, and the great princes and princesses were reigning this country. In 9th century, they brought Christianity from Constantinople, from Byzantium. That's why Ukraine is today predominantly Orthodox, although we have also Roman Catholics and Greek Catholics, and then Jews and Muslims and many other confessions. During that period, one of the daughters, or one of the great princesses of Ukraine, she married the king of France, and then she became the queen of France at that time. And she brought a little Bible from her library, Orthodox Bible, on which all subsequent French kings were taking oath when ascending to the throne. Then came the Mongol Tatar invasion, and the Ukraine kind of saved Europe because they stopped at the western border of Ukraine. Then later on, about 300 to 400 years of Russian occupation, meaning the Tsarist Empire, and then the Soviet Union, Bolshevism, and running up to 1991. During that time, we experienced terrible calamities like the well-known Ukrainian famine genocide of 1932-33, when from 7 to 10 million people perished in a famine orchestrated by Stalin. We had Chernobyl, another crime of the communist regime. But when I'm relaying all those stories, and of course I should mention the Cossacks, because one of the dances today will be the Cossack dance. And the Cossacks are those Ukrainian peasants who got fed up with the Turks and Tatars invading them from the east and south, so they tried to organize themselves in military groups, and they were fighting. And they were famous also because one of those Cossacks wrote the first democratic constitution in Europe in 1709, which is about 70 years before the US Constitution, which already envisaged election of all authorities on all levels and the division between legislative, executive, and judicial powers. So this was like a roller coaster about the history of Ukraine, and the apogee, the most memorable event of the recent years was the Orange Revolution of the year 2004. Some of you may have heard about it. As one Washington Post correspondent aptly phrased it, that it was something in between the fall of the Berlin Wall and the Woodstock Festival. Because it was very important, on the one hand, people protesting against election fraud and coming into the street and standing 17 days out in the cold without a single window smashed, without a single person beaten, absolutely no drop of blood was spilled. If we look around at other examples in modern world, that's quite exemplary. And so I always say that if Ukrainians, after so many years of striving for their independence, if they manage to produce such a phenomenon as the Orange Revolution, then we are the champions of survival, and we can go on.
Ой, під вишнею, під черешнею, стояв старий з молодою, як із ягодою, стояв старий з молодою, як із ягодою, і просилася, і молилася, пусти ж мене, старий діду, на вулицю погулять, Пустиш мене, старий діду, на вулицю погулять, а я сам не піду і тебе не пущу. Бо ти мене, старенько, та й покинеш на біду. Бо ти мене, старенько, та й покинеш на біду. Куплю тобі хатку, і ще сіножатку, і ставок, і млинок, і вишневенький садок. І ставок, і млинок, і вишневенький садок.
Ой, не хочу хатки, ані сіножатки,
Ні ставка, ні млинка, ні вишневого садка.
Ні ставка, ні млинка, ні вишневого садка.
ой, ти старий діду,
Ага.
і зігнувся я дума,
Ага.
а я молоденька, гуляти раденька, а я молоденька, гуляти раденька.
Нічого не видно.
Тільки видно дуба зеленого, тільки видно дуба зеленого. І тим дубом криниця стояла, під тим дубом криниця стояла.
І сумом років 23 любив доченьку, і сиром пироги. Гей, чула, 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 гей, чула, чула ти, любив доченьку, і сиром пироги. Ішов він я з поліси ранкової пори, і скиду дівчиноньку, що несла пироги. Гей, чула, 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 гей, чула, чула ти, і скинув дівчиноньку, що несла пироги. Дівчина, як почула козацькі мрії сни, одразу запросила на свіжі пироги. Гей, чула, 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 гей, чула, чула ти, одразу запросила на свіжі пироги. Раптом із-за лісу взялися вороги, взяли собі дівчину і сиром пироги. Гей, чула, 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 гей, чула, чула ти, взяли собі дівчину і сиром пироги. Козак гірко заплакав.
Ой, кляті вороні, візьміть собі дівчину, віддайте пироги.
Гей, чула, 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 гей, чула, чула ти, візьміть собі дівчину, віддайте пироги. Гей, чула, 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 гей, чула, чула ти, візьміть собі дівчину, віддайте пироги.